So back squats, barbell back squats. A lot of people ask us why we don't always program the barbell back squat, and that's because everybody anatomically is a little bit different, right? And first and foremost, we want to know what somebody's skill set is. We want to know what somebody's abilities are, right? Within their anatomical structure, but also how well, again, they've built up movement patterns and certain skills to be able to handle these things. There's a lot going on within something like a barbell back squat where we have to take into consideration things that are happening externally, right? Balance, so on and so forth, right? Whereas if I put somebody in a Smith machine, those things are taken out of the equation. If we put somebody into a hack squat, even better, those things are taken out of the equation. We're increasing the overall stability of the exercise. Now, some people, like Riley we have here, is built perfectly for a squat. And in the case that somebody's built perfectly for a squat, it's a very applicable exercise for growth. We do have to take certain things into consideration there in terms of the amount of fatigue that we're gonna get from the exercise versus the amount of benefit that we're gonna get from it. So we're programming, it's gonna be very particular, and it's gonna be something that isn't necessarily a mainstay like some people think it would be in most people's programming, all right? But again, if we take a look at Riley, he's gonna be a perfect example of somebody that's built perfectly for a squat. And this is always, since we've worked together, I've never had to adjust Riley's squat or anything like that. His squat has always been like this. Obviously, Riley had a background before he came to me as a trainer. Go ahead, go through your reps. So it's not like he didn't know what he was doing, but again, his body is just built perfectly for this, to where his torso is relatively upright at the bottom, right? His knees are in a perfect position. The length of his femurs are perfect here, where he has good, what we call foldability, a Tom Purvis word there. But he has good foldability to be able to maximize outcomes in that lower body, specifically between the glute and the quad, right? Whereas somebody like Marina, whose femurs are a little bit longer relative to her torso, when she goes into a squat, especially one that's flat-footed here, what you're gonna see is she comes down, yeah, and see, it's even difficult for her to get down to a certain point, but once she gets down there, what's happening is that torso's coming so far forward, and even for her, I feel like she's almost unnaturally trying to sit up straight here a little bit, right? Where for her, it's gonna end up getting worse and worse as that fatigue starts to build, that back is gonna come forward, and at the end of the day, she's gonna end up extending through the back, putting a lot of pressure into those spinal erectors before she's failing or coming anywhere near failing through those quads or the glutes. Go ahead, give us a couple more reps like that. So in this position, what we would do is we would get to know somebody's physique, right? We'd get a better knowledge of somebody's structure, is probably a better word of putting it, better way of putting it. And then what would happen is we'd build up that skill, which Marina's done over time, but then we also know for Marina, we're gonna be better off taking the ankle mobility out of it, right? And improving her foldability. So now when she comes down, look at how much more of an upright position she's in, right? Even Riley could do a little bit better in terms of his range of motion here, right? Or maybe his upright torso is a better way of putting it. If we took his ankle mobility out of it, you can see how well that kind of sets us up here. So again, usually what you're gonna see us recommend is heel elevated, right? Back squats when we're programming them. But again, the reason why you're not getting those at the very beginning is because we don't know what your skill set is from a movement pattern perspective, what your abilities are there, and that's something that we're gonna work through as we take you on as a client and kind of build a better understanding of you and your abilities.